Hello and welcome to Tough Talks here on Hugging the Cactus. I'm Andy Signor and I'm a bit of a nerd. Okay, I'm a big nerd. Usually I talk about movies, TV, and stuff over on my other channel, Popcorn Planet. But I established this channel and an opportunity to tell stories that weren't being told. And those stories are sometimes hard to find and hard to get people to agree to and hard to get them to do on a regular basis. So I didn't want this channel to die in a vine. I wanted to figure out other ways to have tough conversations, honest dialogue about stuff that maybe other people aren't really wanting to have. So this show, Tough Talks, is going to be a wide variety of formats. It's going to be the panel shows that we had previously. It's going to be one-on-one interviews. And it's going to be stuff where I just speak from the heart about news stories or personal things that I've been through that might be a little bit more personal or less pop culture than what I do on my other channel. So thank you for sticking with me, bearing with me. I want to talk about a specific topic today, which is the idea of deleting one's Twitter account. I'm not aiming this at anyone specific. I'm just seeing it happening right now, given the movement we're currently in, which is a really important, but some slightly scary for some, because the term racist is being thrown around a lot. People are dredging up old tweets and social media mentions and things to sort of say, well, have you ever said anything inappropriate? And it's happening a lot to people. They're getting fired, they're getting pushed offline, they're getting canceled. And I'm seeing multiple people choose to remove their Twitter. Now, look, let me first say, before I share my story of the one time I considered deleting my Twitter, I want to preface by saying I understand why someone would delete their past tweets. I totally respect it. I don't have a problem with it. I just think you got to be careful of the timing. And you got to be ready for what the consequences of that actually is, moving forward. Look, Twitter is a cesspool of negativity, but it's also a lot of positivity. You got to decide who you leave in your profile, right? In your page. You can choose to block and mute the people you don't want to enter your atmosphere. And a lot of people would say, well, it's censorship. And it's not. On your page, you can control who talks to you, who sees what you post, and I think that's a great tool. Everyone should feel the need to block. I forget who said it, but it's like the idea of someone coming into your house. Would you just let them walk into your house and start cursing at you? No, you'd shut them out, lock the door, call the police. So if someone's doing that to you on your social media handle, you don't have to take it. You can mute them. You can tell them to go away. If they're harassing you, Twitter does have tools in place to try and stop that. They're not very good at policing it, let's be fair, but there are tools you can try and pursue if your life's in danger. Now, I understand why people would delete their Twitter account. I've talked to some people in doing Hugging the Cactus, particularly Nicole Crowther, who did the Glee episode. She really regretted it. She was not in the wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She did a minor little spoiler for Glee, and some fans of hers had fun talking about it. And then the producer of Glee came forward and publicly condemned her and made her life living hell, canceled her, pushed her out of Hollywood. It changed all of extra background acting, and it was just a tremendous, unfortunate story that I implore you go check out. But when that happened, when she felt the pressure of the internet all, rallying against her and pushing her, she felt like, well, I can't handle this. I'm just going to delete it because then people will stop talking about it. And the reality is that it's not true. People will still find a way to talk about it. So if your reason for nuking your Twitter, purging your Twitter, deleting your past social media, Instagram, anything, deleting past things you've written out of fear of potentially having some old words be taken out of context and used against you, be mindful that screenshotting exists. If you're a personality and you're out there, people have absolutely already shared and kept everything you've said. People are just like that. So to remove it can sometimes look worse. So keep that in mind. Now, at the same time, deleting it doesn't stop the hate from still being out there. People can still say your name without tagging you. Now, it's not connected to your page and it's slightly less connected to your brand, I suppose, but your name's going to be out there with these people still trolling you. And they're going to probably feel even more empowered to troll you if they see that you decided to leave. So it's just something to think about when you want to do it. What is the reasoning for leaving? If your reasoning really is, I don't want to contribute to Twitter anymore, I think it's toxic, it's not helpful, I feel negative going on it, then more power to you. But I would implore you try another tactic, which is just to delete the app from your phone. Just delete it from your phone. Don't make it so accessible. Don't go on the web. Don't go on your phone. Just try to give yourself the willpower to leave it up there in case you need it someday and let it just not be in a finger swipe away. It's always my advice if somebody asks me that. Now, I want to share the one time I did consider deleting my social media. And I want to share whether I regret that or not. So when I was canceled back in 2017 for actions of my own, as well as accusations that were completely false. The reality was I was living a lie, and I absolutely did do wrong. And a lot of my critics will say Andy doesn't take responsibility or accountability for his actions. It's just they don't pay attention enough. They only follow certain parts of the story. The reality is I was unfaithful to my wife at the time, and it's something that haunts me to this day. It's something I'm immensely unproud of. It was selfish behavior that was disgusting and inappropriate, and it was just awful. It was awful because it wasn't fair to her. And selfish is the best word you can use when you're cheating. And it's a topic I'm going to get into with another guest. We're going to talk about infidelity, how to know if your significant other's cheating, all that stuff in future episodes of Tough Talks. But just to broadly touch upon it, yeah, I mean, it was awful what I did. And it was awful because it affected other people who had a right to make a choice whether they should be in that relationship or not. And the reality was I was living a lie because I didn't want it to come out. I started getting away with it. I started digging deeper in a hole of just thinking I could get away with things, that I thought it was okay, and justifying it in stupid ways in my brain, which none of it was fair or correct. And I realized at that point when some people started exposing me, it was confusing because they were exposing me with lies. So it put me on the defensive. But I did realize, oh crap, people might read this wrong, and they're going to more examples of me cheating are going to come out. And so that was something that I wrestled with because I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to delete my social media because then I'll walk away and it won't affect it. And then they can't talk about me because I won't have social media anymore. And that wouldn't have done anything. People would have seen that as more of a dangerous, like a sign of guilt. They would have continued to tag me just without the handle. And I think it would have done even worse. So in that instance, there was a point where I really genuinely considered it. And I decided instead to just log offline. And I stayed offline for a good period of time, over a year. And the choice to come back online was a whole nother experience that I'll share in a future episode. It was rough to come back online. And my feelings of being online today also, I'm not always sold on. But the reality is I'm very grateful I didn't delete it, because I'm really grateful that I can go back and look to see the things I said, the things I did, so I can remind myself of what not to do again. So I can not let the history that I've been through be rewritten or erased. I have to live with it, right? I have to take accountability, and I have to make sure that I don't forget about it. And if I just erase it all, for me, it would feel dishonest. It happened. It's a thing. It's going to be out there and screenshot somewhere else, whether it's on my Twitter or not. But I'd rather have it there to be able to discuss it and learn from it than try to run from it. And so in that instance, I'm very grateful that I didn't delete it. I know Nicole, in her instance on Hugging the Cactus, the Glee episode, she also was really upset that she deleted it because she wished she could have just come back and used all that following and the history of what she had to be able to try to regrow and grow from. So I share those stories to sort of help you maybe think about it later. There's always an option to remove Twitter from your phone. Remove it from your life. Don't make it a swipe away. Don't make it so easy access. That is a better solution in my mind than rushing to delete an app because you're afraid of tweets coming forward. Now, look, if we're talking about something that your PR, your lawyer, your family, you're all like, oh my God, we got to sweep this up. The reality is you go and you find and you'd go delete the specific tweets that you're worried about if you're really going to go play defense, right? Deleting your entire account, nuking it, saying it's for the sake of toxicity is something you can do. I don't judge it. I don't disagree with it. It might make you feel healthier in life. But there's also just something to said about logging offline. I loved that time when I was offline, to be honest. And the only reason I'm back online is because I'm trying to make a living with what I know how to do. And that's a whole nother topic I'll discuss at some point. But I advise you, if you're considering this idea of should I delete a Twitter account? Should I delete my Twitter account if I'm getting some heat, if I'm feeling pressure? My response to you would be wait. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Don't just do it because you're being pressured, because you worry you said something bad. There's ways to go clean up your social media history. You can pay someone $200 to go and do the same things that people are doing right now. Hell, you can do it yourself. You can look up certain keywords to make sure, well, what did I say? I'm not that person. I want to make sure I do it. But rather than just expunge them and erase them, find them and address them and own up to it before others make you do it. It's always better if you come forward and admit your faults before someone makes you do it. So that's my advice to you. Look, everyone, Twitter is the worst at times. It is absolutely the worst at times, and I can understand why people would want to get off Twitter and delete their social media. But for me to delete it fully, to not just choose to make it private, to not just choose to take it off your home screen on your phone, it's a drastic solution that I do think will point some fingers at you that you want to be mindful of. So I ask you to consider that. At the same time, getting off Twitter, totally a good and healthy thing to do if you can really do it. But that means you're really getting offline and not checking it. You really got to just give it all, throw it away. Don't go on the app. Don't check the news. Just avoid it at all costs. Because, I don't know, I think you got to really commit, or you got to just learn how to do it in, smaller doses, right? Learn how to do it in moderation. Social media moderation is a good thing for all of us to try. That's something I've been working on. I'm still working on it. It's always tough sometimes. But that is my advice to you. I am so grateful I didn't do it. I know others I've spoken to on the show also wish they hadn't have done it, and they've come back and they've rebuilt it on their own. And in some cases, I'm sure that works for some, right? The reset button. Everyone has the right to have a reset button, to restart, to check offline, create, disregard and erase what they used to be, and rebuild as a phoenix and something new. Absolutely. And if that's what your goal is, then more power to you. But be careful of the optics of it. Be careful of rewriting and erasing one's history is my only advice given my own background and the stories I've been through. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped any of you who might be considering it, or at least give you some insight to me. If you have any thoughts on this topic below, or you have any questions for me, I will check the comments, so leave them down below. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do over here on Hugging the Cactus. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a topic or something else you want me to address, or try to find a guest to help be an expert on, I'm going to be doing lots more of these, so please leave your suggestions down below, or you can always hit me up on social media at Andy Signor. That's still there, and I'm so grateful it is. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves.